So, Ray, you have been working across various industries. So from your experience, what are some of the biggest barriers to scaling ethical AI practices across organizations, and how can companies overcome some of the challenges that they see while doing this?
So I would highlight probably three key challenges. The first one is that it's essential that you have cross-enterprise participation if you're going to build an AI governance program. And obviously you need the AI team, data team, but you're going to need legal, data privacy, information security, HR, CIO, the list goes on, risk and compliance. And the only way that you'll get that wide group of people to work together is if you have C-level sponsorship, really driving the agenda and giving you the authority to move forwards. So that would be, I say, the first one. The second one is actually the problem of identifying where AI is used in the organization, because it's cropping up everywhere now. And I think the answer there is that you need to define what I call control points or checkpoints. So you need to map the organization and figure out the processes that every new project or every new procurement of AI would go through, and ask the question, does this project include AI? And if yes, then you can put it into an inventory and you can start to assess it. And the third thing I would highlight would be skills. There's definitely a shortage of skills in this area, a shortage of people with real experience in building these programs. It does vary from industry to industry. If you take some like financial services, there's a long history of compliance, of MRM and so on, but broadly speaking, I would still say we have a skills shortage.
Absolutely. Before I let you off the hook, how about balancing innovation and risk and controlling risk? How are you finding people are doing that?
That's actually very interesting, because I think that's changed a little bit over the last year or two. So what I see now is that senior executives in companies really want to use AI, and in particular Gen AI, but at the same time they're concerned about it going wrong. And so they're actually driving both the usage and also responsible AI approaches and the governance and the controls. I think in corporations that's less of a challenge, but there is still a tension with regulation and waiting to see what the regulatory regime is going to look like, and will it be conducive to innovation, as well as giving the kinds of controls and reassurances that we all need.
Yeah. Ray, can you tell us a little bit in your advising of across different sectors, which I think brings so much richness to this. What have you been advising around how companies should be more transparent and accountable? And have you started to see anything that looks like standards that cross sectors?
Yes, I think clearly there are some differences from sector to sector, but there is a pattern emerging that is common or has many common elements to it. So I think you have to start with the vision, and the vision is set by having principles, by having a policy which is actually enforced, and then typically having some kind of standards or operating procedure or something that actually tells people what they have to do to comply with that policy. You've got to have a governance framework with clear accountabilities and a process. Yeah. You've got to create an inventory for AI, and that feeds in then to an assessment process, typically a risk assessment process that will evaluate higher from lower risk uses, and then apply many more controls and tests to the higher use. You've got to have training and the right kinds of people. You've got to have some tooling. All of those, I think, are common across pretty much every AI governance program. Right. But then if you look at, let's say, financial services, or if you look at healthcare, these are industries that have a long tradition of compliance and regulation and so on. So they have well-established compliance and risk structures in place already. So in those sorts of situations, it's a question of really building in additional controls for AI into an existing structure, whereas some other companies may not have much of a compliance culture, and they may need to set up most of that from scratch.